Welcome back. So we're doing another episode tonight, and we're very excited to have a young man with us and a not so young man and his dad. Gavin and myself go way back. So it's Gavin Frost, Evan Frost, Rob and myself. So guys, we wanted to give Evan a bit of airtime on our platform because he's really had some really fantastic experiences in the last couple of weeks. He's a really great young rider, up and coming, that we want to support. And I think by us having this little podcast, we want to just try and assist in any way that we can in terms of getting his name out there and potentially helping him in any way that we can. So, what brought this about is there's a website called Two Wheel Development, which is also assisting Evan. They're an auction site. They are they're auctioning a whole lot of motocross kit from a whole lot of famous riders, and the money and the proceeds from that go to you guys basically, or any young riders that want to develop, and it's through Camden McLennan's dad, David, and basically it's a program to try and assist young South African riders. So it may not be always Evan, it'll move on to others going down the road, but have a look at the website, guys. Lots of kits. Obviously a lot of South African riders are putting in. So Camden is putting some of his gear up. You've got Calvin Philandrin putting up kits. There's even Cairoli kits on there. There is Prado kits on there. There's Brad Cox kits on there. So have a look, make a donation or contribute or try and buy something on the auction site, and all that money raised goes to this kind of initiative, which is amazing. At the same time, there are two other initiatives that they've got running. They've got a competition where you can win a 6D helmet worth $600. It's one of the full carbon, beautiful, beautiful helmets. It's with MIPS and all the rest. It's $5. That's not a lot of money, guys. I think all of you, if you're on the site, register for that. Again, it's sponsored by 6D. That helmet will do you well, but I think the money, will go to a good cause, and this is the good cause. I think a lot of times you hear about good causes, but you don't see the good cause. We've got the good cause here. So go onto Two Wheel Development, the website, have a look. There's something else happening as well. I think Gavin can tell us a little bit more about. There's a poker evening
up in Johannesburg. It's on the 30th of July. Dave McLennan has set it up. It's going to be at Ridgeway Race Bar, where I think it's 500 Rand buy-in. Yeah, $500 buy-in, yeah. And there's an opportunity to rebuy.
So absolutely, anyone in Joburg on that weekend or during the week?
Wednesday.
So Wednesday night.
30th,
anyone in Joburg, please support the event. Obviously, again, it supports South African motocross, which is what we're here for. So that's at Ridgeway
Race Bar.
Race Bar.
Yeah.
I need to go there when we go to Joburg.
Let's get the punters there. Come on, boys.
All right. It's a great place here, and they've got some good old bikes and things up on the walls and on display there from way back when.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, good. So to move into second gear, I wanted to find out, Gav, I know obviously Ev has now gone into racing and he's been identified as a really good young talent and what have you. But before we even get to Ev, I wanted to find out a little bit about you as a dad. I mean, I'm a motor dad, Blaine's a motor dad, and obviously we invest a bit in our kids as well. But I wanted to find out how you got into the sport, and for starters, like standard question, what was your first bike when you started? Can you remember?
Well, I according to my parents, I ate, slept and drank motorbikes.
Oh, there you go.
It was my dream always just to ride and race motocross. And funny enough, my grandfather bought me my first bike. It was actually a speedway bike. Okay. So he had heard that I love motorbikes. Anyway, a speedway bike rocked up, which wasn't going to help me at all. So,
Jeez, no,
but my first motocross bike, my dad got from me. It was actually from Ricky Snedden's brother. We bought a second-hand KX85. Well, back then it was a KX80. Yeah. His brother Kola, they were selling it. And I think it was around 78, 79. 1978, 79 when I got in. I was involved with Russell White as well. I don't know if people may remember Russell White. So he actually was riding back in the day too. He was a hell of a good rider.
So you were a KZN boy then, obviously.
Yeah,
Okay.
grew up the North Coast. Russell was up there, so I used to spend most of my afternoons after school at Russell's Gate, and then I would go in and we would work on the bikes and yeah, pretty much he got me into the actual motocross.
Okay. Awesome.
The motocross scene, and that's where it all started. And my dad obviously got hooked, and
Yeah.
from there we got caught up in the travel and the racing and the
fantastic.
nationals and
there
all
was
the rest
lots
of
of
it.
it. Huh? There was lots
Back
of
in
it.
the day, yeah. So,
Yeah.
so I remember. I mean, on the Hammarsdale Harriers Facebook page, I got hold of Billy Gourgain's photo album, and I'd posted a lot of pictures from back in the day from his photo album onto the Facebook page. And one of the photos was of the Hammarsdale International, and I remember you actually mentioning in a comment section that you raced that international on an 80, or was it a 1983 international Hammarsdale
I think
Day?
it was around then, and it may have been on a 125 high school by then,
Okay.
or in the hundreds. So we had the
Can you remember the day much, or
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it was at the same year where they had the big step downs.
Down the hill.
I had probably one of my biggest crashes down that hill. I remember my dad coming onto the start line when we were getting ready to go for practice, and he said to me, Gavin, he says, whatever you do, don't go down the middle. There's braking bumps formed halfway down. You're going to jump. You're going to hit these braking bumps.
Oh, sorry, I figured out which class he was. High school. He wasn't listening.
And yeah, needless to say, probably third lap into practice, hit the braking bumps, took the line I wasn't supposed to, and ended up down the
in
bottom
the cheap seats
in a bundle. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but Hammarsdale's good for that. It's we always used to talk about. I think people still talk about the old Hammarsdale slap, where you get swapped side to side, and before you know it, you're on your ear.
Yeah, so Adrian Werner
Adrian
tested
Werner knows, yeah.
that theory on the race day. He did a proper flick, yeah. Can you remember the guys that you used to compete against in your classes?
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate enough to race with a good bunch of guys too, talented riders. Mike Trussler, Brendan Crooks, Paul Reed was around, the Comleys, Zane Fortman. So we kind of all grew up racing
together, yeah.
from 80 cc's up to hundreds into 125 high school. So yeah, there was good talent, and obviously at the nationals there were the Joburg riders.
And when did you end up? When did you finish riding as such, or have you never stopped riding?
No,
You
I
still-
did stop. Hey, I probably stopped racing in about 89, 90.
Okay.
Pretty much when I left high school,
Right.
and went and studied for a bit. Funny enough, started playing a bit of golf, and then went traveling for a long time. So I actually didn't ride for
4 years.
20 years.
Oh, wow.
And I came back to SA in the early 2000s. Eventually just went on a bush ride. I think it was in 2008 with somebody. Well, not with somebody, with Les Coetzee. You guys might know him as well.
XR200s.
Well, he had a 450, a YZ 450 and a 250. And he said to me, hey, Gav, why don't you jump on the 250 and come for a ride? And we went out the back of Pinetown,
Oh, Westmead?
Westmead.
Westmead, okay, yeah.
And he said every time he looked back, I couldn't stop smiling. So yeah, funny enough, I ended up buying another bike.
Oh, fantastic.
Broke my thumb the second day of having it coming out of the river at Springfield Park. So it got packed away for a couple of months again.
At the
you
bottom,
never-
that sandy section of Springfield,
Yeah,
yes.
but you
Yeah.
never lost the love for
Never,
for
yeah.
riding.
And in fact, it made me realize what I'd been missing.
Mm.
And then since, from that day, we started having kids, and and then my riding started to take a backseat now.
Yeah, and the rest is history, yeah.
Kids
So,
growing up.
so Evan started riding at what age?
At the age of 3. So
Wow.
I bought Blake a Pee Wee 50, and in actual fact it was, Brett will love it because it was a bit of a Chinese knockoff one. But I bought my other son Blake on his 5th birthday. I bought him this Pee Wee 50, and I said to Chantal, my wife, I said, look, this is just for fun. He's gonna ride in the park. I did the whole racing thing. I grew up racing. We're not getting involved in that, and that became a hand me down to Evan.
You've strung that along as a
So that Pee-wee became a hand-me-down. Evan got on it at the age of 3 now because, Blake got it at 5. And, we just got hooked.
It hasn't stopped. Yeah.
And they love it and we love it. And it's great. It's a great sport as a family, all the traveling and the rest of it.
And what made you decide then to start racing? So you got it at 3. At what age did you start racing?
I probably started racing at the age of 5. Got into the 50cc class at probably the age of 5, and I just never stopped from there.
That's amazing. Eh? So you've been riding since 5, and how old are you now?
I'm 13 now.
13. And school? Where do you go to school? Like, how does that work?
I go to Northwood High School. School's just like been there most of the time. But motocross has always been first priority.
So do you just pass?
No. Well, obviously, try,
do you do a lot of work? I mean, do you how do you balance that? That is the question. How do you balance school and all this riding and traveling? I mean, you've been going overseas. Yeah. How do you balance taking off time from school? How do you do the catch up?
Well, normally during the week, I would just focus on schoolwork, and in the afternoon, if we get to go riding, then focus on riding. But mostly the weekends, I'd focus on riding and training and all that. And then with the traveling, I would if I had exams or anything on, I would try to get the school to move it to a different day if I was traveling on that day, and just work my way around it with school. So,
okay, so you're in grade 8.
Yeah.
Okay. How's Northwood School? Good school.
Yeah, it's a good school.
Very, very nice. Where did you go to school, Gav?
Stanger High School.
Stanger High.
Yeah,
okay.
up the North Coast.
North Coast.
But we've been fortunate with the schools. Prior to Northwood, Evan was at Virginia, and they've also been very accommodating. Understanding with the travel, with the exams. To try and either move them forward or move them afterwards. The travel. So we have been really
really fortunate.
And they're both involved in. Well, both my kids are still involved in school sports as well, which we try and keep going.
I think you need to promote that because it also keeps them fit and it keeps them not so focused on sort of one avenue as well.
And team sports, motocross is very individual sport. So, we like the fact that they do play hockey, they play soccer when they can. Okay. They want to play rugby, but we don't let them because we say it's too dangerous. Funny enough.
Yeah. We could tell you some stories about that, but we'll leave that for another time. But that's great that you are able to still manage school. How often are you guys riding during the week?
Not as much as we'd like. Obviously, with work and schooling, if we're lucky, we may get to ride once in a week, but more than likely we don't ride in the week and they'll just ride on the weekends. So, again, we would wish we could ride a lot more because I think time on the bike is important. Yeah. As you get to a certain level,
the more riding you do, the better.
Yeah. A lot of the guys he's riding against are riding 3-4 times a week. So if I can ask Evan, then how do you then, if they're riding so much, how do you stay fit if you're not riding? What training do you do?
Normally in the afternoons we would go for runs, do body weight, and just try to do the things that are possible in that short amount of time. And obviously on the weekends when we're riding, we obviously ride a lot harder and take it more seriously, so we can keep on that level with them.
Yeah, and I know you're saying it would be nice to ride all the time, but at the same time, I think it also keeps you hungry. So there is something to be said for overtraining, overriding. So I wouldn't knock what you're doing. I would say just try and keep fit and
going to the weekend with underdog status all the time.
Go into the weekend and feel fresh because a lot of the guys sometimes get to the races and they're tired because they've ridden so much during the week, so they smoked. So, but that's really cool that you do that. Okay, so. You're riding the 85 class?
Yeah.
How are the nationals going? So you've had 2.5 nationals.
Not even.
Okay.
We traveled to the second one, which never happened.
Yeah, unfortunately, the race in Joburg, where was it at?
At Legends.
At Legends MX Park was cancelled or postponed?
It's postponed. So
Postponed.
It's been moved to later in
It
the
was
year.
it was flooded out, so you guys couldn't race. So you've had 2 nationals. How are you doing in the nationals so far?
So far, there are 2 leaders, so they sharing the red plate or like have the same points. If I'm in 3rd place right now because they're obviously at the top there together.
Who's
It's Trent and Cabello.
Trenton
Kreutzmann and Cabello Dwaba.
Okay.
They're sharing the red plate, so I think they're on 86 points, and Evan is on 85 points. So he's 1 point
Yeah.
off the lead. So they're really close.
Yeah.
And
how was PE?
B was tough. Obviously with the sand.
We love that track, by the way. Chad and myself love it.
Yeah, it's a really nice track, especially how the track develops
Yeah,
after.
it can get rougher than a goat's kneecap, that place. So.
Yeah.
So how did you go?
Yeah, how did the motor go?
How did the motor go in PE?
Yeah, it was good. Obviously 3rd overall. 3rd in both races.
Okay.
Did you get
So,
good
not
starts or did you have to fight through the pack?
First race I was like, I don't know, maybe 10th from the start. Didn't really get a good start and worked my way up to 3rd, and then time ran out, so didn't get anything there. But 3rd overall for the first moto, and then second moto, got a better start. I was like 3rd off the start. And,
Oh, that's nice.
yeah, just like kept there, but I don't know. It's just couldn't pass anyone in that race. But
yeah, unfortunately, they also shortened the race a little bit because they had a red flag situation. I think there was a rider that also got hurt. So they shortened the lunch break, and then they took 2 minutes off each of the races, which Evs normally comes on stronger towards the end of the race. And but anyway, it's the same for everyone.
So what is the 85cc national race duration in the South African nationals? What is the 15 minutes, 20 minutes?
It's 14 plus 1.
Plus a lap. Okay. And then when you get to the 125 class, is it the same or is it more?
It's only 1 minute. They used to be longer, but 125s now is 15 plus 1, 85 14 plus 1. So
Okay.
the races go by
Pretty
pretty
quickly.
quickly when
And then-
you don't get a good start.
And then switching gears to overseas, what's the race duration there?
20 plus 2.
Oh,
So
Wow. So
yeah.
how did you manage that? Because it's something
yeah.
out of your comfort zone.
So with this 2-wheel dev, we got hooked up with a trainer.
Okay.
What's his name?
If I can just elaborate on that. So Daryl Fitzgerald with
Yes.
Training Peaks.
right.
Cheers.
So he's offered his services as well through 2-wheel dev. He said he had put together
program.
or offer a training program.
Yeah.
And David McLennan mentioned that, look, they've got Evan on board. Would he be prepared to put a program together? And so, probably from about a month and a half ago now, Daryl sends us the day-to-day training program. So you mentioned,
Yeah, that's lucky though, because that gives you an idea. Because if
Yeah.
you don't know, you don't know, and
Yeah.
you need someone like that who's got the skills and experience. Very good rider, and you need someone to direct
yeah.
and guide.
So when you mentioned off the bike stuff, so a lot of the stuff during the week is training programs that he's put
Prepping for
together.
that race duration. Yeah.
And then also and funny enough, they like sprint laps more than they do endurance. So,
Oh, really?
I mean, Evan's first race in Germany, I think his total race time was 27 minutes and something,
Oh, Lord.
which, and he crashed in the last minute and a half, I think, of the race. And he said to me afterwards, when he actually got up after he crashed, that's when he realized how tired he was.
Yeah.
Because, he had been
Going for, yeah.
chasing, making up places, and that also didn't get the greatest of starts. But was coming to the front and then, tipped over, hit the guy in 10th. And
So, Ev, what was that experience like? Boy, how did the race go? What was the track conditions like there? I mean, are they very, very different to South African conditions?
With 40 guys, it's obviously a lot different because in South Africa you obviously don't get as much riders. So that was probably the part where I was the most nervous. The track got broken down a lot worse than down in here in South Africa. obviously because there's more bikes and well, at least they like prep some sections
I was
there.
going to ask, is it similar
Yeah.
to the GPs where they prep the start straight for you and then leave the rest of the track to get ridden?
Yeah, for the 85cc, because it's the lowest class,
Yes.
they would like flatten some jump faces because the jump faces would get like rutty
Rats it
and
out, yeah.
yeah, and maybe the start also they'll prep and maybe one or two straights that would get really bad, but that's
So were the
Yeah,
ruts
pretty
deep
much.
where you were dragging foot pegs, or were they obviously cleaning the track up enough for the 85s to get around without doing that?
probably cleaning the track up
Okay.
enough.
Jump faces, yeah.
Jump faces were where it was the most
Sketchy.
yeah.
And the track changes straight away because they're not always the first race after the track prep is done. But I think just in lieu of what's coming up, so there might still be a 250 race or a 450
Right.
ahead of them, or the 125 race. So with that many riders going, you can imagine 40 riders. Their race distance I think was 30 minutes plus 2. So 40 riders, you know how many laps they end up doing. So straight away the track
Tracks.
just gets demolished
Trashed.
again.
Yeah.
And the bumps
Ropey.
are next level.
So just maybe explain. So ADAC is a German series.
Correct,
It's
yeah.
probably one of the most prominent international series for young racers. But at that event, there are pros.
Yeah.
And who are the main pros? When I say pros, GP are the GP riders attending.
Yeah.
Um,
So
and-
you've got the what they call the masters class is the senior class, the 450 class. Rowan van der Moestijk, who's in the Cossack team, he rides the 450 for them. They've got Bradley Mesters, who's on the 250. Max Nagel's riding in the 450s. I mean, Max has been around for a while. I think he's 39 and
He's on
he's
GPs, Max. Yeah.
he's fantastic. So there are guys that are riding the EMX series, being 125s or 250s at the GP races as well. And there are a couple of the GP riders who come and ride as well.
Okay, and then how many of these races are you planning to do? So you've had one, and you seventh overall,
10th overall.
10th
at the
overall.
moment,
But
yeah.
you got a
You got a 7th in the second heat.
the second heat.
of
But
the
you got
first
a,
round.
what was the first race? 12.
17th.
Oh, 17th. So a bit of an issue there with the
Yeah, when he
crash.
got down, he got to 11th. And then, like I say, he hit the guy that was in 10th place, went back to 22nd.
And
Because
came
that's the other thing, you tip over there, it's
There's
not
so
one
many
or
bikes
two
in the-
guys
yeah.
that pass you, 10 guys
10
go
goes
past you.
past you.
So your place, your
But that second race was very, very positive. I mean,
Yeah.
just to finish 7th in that group of guys and finish
Yeah.
10th overall was.
How was your
really,
start in the
really
second
good.
motor? You obviously had a reasonable start.
No, actually not.
Oh,
I
dear.
got quite a bad start, and then I got quite lucky with a crash that happened.
Pile-up.
That was like a pile up.
Oh, fantastic.
So I've just got around the outside and wasn't sick, and then I got passed by a guy on the Husqvarna, and then
Okay.
I was just kind of settled there because I knew I was gonna get tired because obviously I've never ridden.
But yeah, but I think
that
it's the same old saying: if you get out front, you can stay out front, which is key.
Well,
and I
with
think
40
with
guys,
40 guys, you got to
Yeah, with
you've got to
40
do that.
guys, the first corner, it basically dictates the whole race, you know?
yeah.
no, for sure.
I mean, I can only imagine all those guys on the racetrack potentially running lap times within 1 or 2 seconds of each other, all the way down to probably 15th or 16th position.
Yeah. Now I think the top 20 are all pretty good. Then it does wane off a little bit, so it's not like all 40 of them are super fast.
Yeah.
But certainly the top 20 are, their qualifying times and
Well
things.
within each
You're
other,
within
yeah.
seconds. You're looking for
Well,
hundredths of a
100
second to
seconds,
get out of 15
And-
to 10.
So we're talking hundredths of a second that you got to find. Did you learn anything racing? I know it's not your first time overseas because you did 65 world champs. You got to 6.
Yeah.
So overall,
When was that?
2023.
Okay, so you've raced overseas. Now that you've done it at you're a bit older. What did you learn, or did you learn anything that you've brought back to your riding?
Well, what I've learned is better starts, lot more sprint laps, and a lot more fitness training. Obviously, with the races being so long over there, you got to obviously keep it going and like keep training hard and
And you know that Estonian's training hard. Or Leok,
yeah.
he's training very hard. That
Yeah.
kid, knowing his dad, yeah, he's training very hard.
Yeah, no, those kids ride. There's also another youngster out of Britain. I think it's Harriers. And we were talking to one of our 85 teammates over there, and his dad was saying that, maybe there's a bit of exaggeration too, but they reckon those kids put anything from 450 to 500 hours on a bike in a year.
Oh, wow.
Practicing.
Yeah.
And if we can get to 100 hours, it's
a lot. Yeah.
So, but they're fantastic riders. Absolutely
No, they are.
fantastic. I think Lucas at Drenna, his qualifying time would have put him second in the 125.
Oh, wow.
So that's the speed these guys are going.
Okay, so when is the next one?
In a couple of weeks' time, we head over to Drietz. That will be in the middle of June.
And what do you know about the track? Have you seen videos, pictures?
From
Like when are you going to get to a Hammarsdale that you know how to ride? When are you going to get a track that like is similar to that, so you can really shine?
This last one was pretty much like
Was it
Hammarsdale.
like Hammarsdale?
Yeah. Obviously with like the square edginess and the bumps, but obviously a lot more sandier. But
Yeah. And the next one, what do you know about the next one coming up?
the next one, I've heard from Trey Cox that it's very sandy. Yeah, very sandy. And
okay, well that's great.
Sand again, yeah.
Sand again.
So sounds like a lot of the East German tracks are sand based, and then as you move more to the west, they become a little bit hard packed. Yeah.
And how many rounds are you planning on doing?
We would love to get to all 6. I mean, obviously there's a massive cost involved. One of the rounds clashes with the Teza National in August. So depending on
how you're going nationally, you'll decide.
we'll make a call then. But yeah, 6 rounds for the 85s. The whole series is 8 rounds. So the 250s and 450s would have 8 rounds. And then the 125s and 85s kind of swap out and do 6 rounds each. So sometimes they're at the same races and then we won't be at some of theirs.
Yeah. And guys, that's why we're here talking to these two tonight, is just to try and see if we can get some support for this young man and his dad and the family. And that's why we're talking about two-wheel development all the time. And then we also maybe just talk a little bit about the backer buddy. I don't know. You guys have got a backer buddy. I think just maybe talk a bit about that.
Yeah, thanks. So Brad Love actually kindly enough set up a backer buddy account for us, also through Two Wheel Dev. He's made a decent contribution, which was really nice. It didn't really kick off as well as we thought it would, but the backer buddy account is still out there. We'll repost it and try and share it far and wide whoever can. And if there are people who are willing to help, every 10 rand, 100 rand, 500 rand helps a hell of a lot to get us to get to as many rounds as we can. We were fortunate enough for Two Wheel Dev, which is actually a non-profit organization that was set up by David McLennan and Adrian de Hutton. I think Brendan Cooks is also slightly involved. And so, yeah, they've got, as you mentioned earlier, the auctions going. They've got the poker evening coming up. We hopefully will try and get a golf day in somewhere down the line. But things do get a bit crazy with the local nationals and then getting overseas.
Motocross riders playing golf.
Yeah,
a good idea.
Apparently guys are pretty keen.
Can we take bikes? That's all I want.
So, we were really fortunate. David McLennan approached me in early Feb and asked me what are my plans with Evan for the year. And, he said, this is what they're thinking about. Would we be interested? And, we jumped in head first and committed to it. Yeah. So, the costs are there, whether we, take them on ourselves and fight through it, or, we're trying to get as much help as we can, obviously. The problem is the motocross pool. Everybody's tight. Everybody's trying to find a buck to support their own kids. So if there are any corporates out there who would be keen,
Yeah,
that would help.
What I'd like to do is put a challenge out. Let's put a challenge out, guys. So what we probably will do within the next week is, if we can get that Backer Buddy link from you guys, we'll post it up on the Hammarsdale Harriers Facebook page, and what we'll do is we'll challenge everyone to let's get everyone to put themselves a donation towards a Backer Buddy. Part of our ethos as far as Hammarsdale Harriers is concerned is to actually pay it forward for our kids to actually have a facility so that we could get them riding in the future and enjoying motocross as a family sport. And we've always maintained that it's always been a family sport. And motor dads, as much as everyone thinks, it's very, very expensive sport for people to, as South Africans, to go overseas and race overseas. It's prohibitively expensive. That's why it's very difficult, and have seen a massive gap as far as pro riders that are coming through the ranks from South African perspective to go overseas and do well over there, because it is financially prohibitively expensive for us as South Africans to get over there. The costs are astronomical. So I'd really just like to put a challenge together for all of the guys that follow the Hammarsdale page. Let's put a challenge down there. Let's challenge everyone to put at least $300 into the Backer Buddy account. Everyone can afford a $300. That's a case of beers and maybe a bit more at the pub. Let's save a weekend of drinking for $300 to the Backer Buddy account that we'll put out. We'll post it onto the Facebook page. Let's help Ev get out and realize his dream of going racing and racing against international talent. Hopefully he can get that experience and spring on to greater things. Who knows? If the opportunity is there, we must take it as South Africans, because they don't come around very often. So I really think it's a great cause. We're a family-orientated club, and we really want to invest back in our children. And if we can do that and present an opportunity to Ev, why not? $300, guys. Let's put our hands in our pockets and let's go and back Ev. Everyone on there's about 780 members on the Hammarsdale page. 780 members, $300. That's going to pay for Ev's whole season. Why not? Come on, guys. Let's put our money where our mouth is. Let's invest back in the sport.
Thanks, Rob. Yeah, we really appreciate it. It's definitely going to go a long way. And then also going back to the whole two-wheel dev thing is like I mentioned, they're a non-profit organization. The whole idea is to get the talent that we've got, and we've got good talent. Our riders are capable of performing on the international stage. It's how to sustain it, or how do you get yourself there. And the McLennans, they've got the contacts over there.
I just want to interlude, but you guys have been set up with a COSAC KTM team through the McLellans. So you've got a really good foundation. It's not like you're going and you're having to wing this. You've got a really good setup. You've got a really good team. You've got really good bikes. You've got really good mechanics. You've got a good setup. You've got trucks. So it's not. It's not.
You're not winging it.
We're not winging it. That's what we want to just get across.
The record is there.
Yeah, the COSAC KTM team, good record.
You mentioned earlier the South Africans that went through the COSAC team. Can you just rattle them off if you don't mind? Colin Dugmore was the first guy at the COSAC.
Correct, I believe so. Yeah, I was
80s.
talking to Herbert COSAC, who's the dad and the owner of COSAC KTM in Germany, and he had mentioned that Evan was now the fifth rider that's from South Africa that they were taking on, and Colin Dugmore, I think, was the first. Gareth Swanepoel, who now is with Star Racing Yamaha.
Yeah, he just helped Cooper Webb to Supercross final.
Yeah, and Hayden Deegan. I mean, he trains them both. Shannon Tablanche, who's back locally here now again. He's doing some training and helping some kids in the sport. After that, I think was Camden McLennan.
And look where he's gone. I mean, he's factory triumph. So it's just, I think, just to emphasize, it's not you guys are on a good project, a good initiative. Correct. And I think if we as South Africans and Hammarsdale Harriers can support in any way, I mean, Rob, you're saying pledge, I'll pledge the $300, no issue. Chad will pledge.
Thanks, Chad.
You know what? You will pledge. But I mean, we all would love to give back in some way, and hopefully with this, by this we get a bit of mileage for you and traction for you, and I think you're a good family and you got good work ethic.
Thanks. Yeah.
And I think, we really want to see you do well. COSAC's a good setup, and what else, man?
It's a great setup, and also we were chatting earlier, and I mean the likes of Chad Reed have ridden for COSAC. Apparently, James Stewart rode for them as well.
Oh wow!
So they've
In
had
Germany?
some,
Oh wow!
they've had some talented riders. Herbert is pretty proud of them.
For them?
I
Calvin.
don't know if Kelvin did. No,
I don't think so.
I think he was with one of the other teams, but they're a fantastic setup. They're a fantastic group of people, and it's the opportunity that all of our kids
Open the doors.
are looking for, and that's the whole aim of two-wheel development, is to try and provide, with the contacts that David and them have got, and financial assistance from local business and the South African motocross fraternity, to build a base where it was started up early this year between David and Adrian, and we were fortunate enough that they picked out Ev and said, guys, we're interested, we want Ev to maybe have a shot at it, but the whole idea is to build a base where next year do they set up 3 other kids,
Sure.
as many kids as possible.
Yeah.
That's David McLennan and Cheryl McLennan's
Gather some momentum.
aim, is to get local riders to have the opportunity to follow the footsteps of Camden, who we know now is with the Triumph Factory team and riding brilliantly. Yeah.
Winning GPs, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that website is a dollar website, guys. Don't get put off. Have a look, make a bid. There's lots of really fantastic merch there, and then share it with people far and wide. I think that's the message. Share that with internationally. I know we've got some Motocross Donation shirts up there that we've partnered with Two Wheel Development. That money will come to Hammarsdale Harriers, but I mean, and a portion of it will go to the development fund. But there's lots of really nice product there. Just if you aren't able to buy that stuff because it's in dollars and it might be a little bit steep, share that far and wide. There is a big market out there for some really great memorabilia. And then, don't forget the other initiatives, which is the helmets. I mean, where can you win a $600 helmet for $5? $5.
60 helmet is like
And 60 helmets, full carbon.
helmet.
So, and then obviously the
That thing's lighter than your car keys.
I doubt that. And then obviously the poker evening.
Yeah.
But Ev, I think just thank you for coming here tonight. It's been nice to have a chat with you, and we wish you the best of luck. And honestly, I think you just carry on working the way you are. I mean, we've seen you ride. We've seen you and how you behave around the pits. And we wish you luck, man. We really want to support you, and hopefully this helps in some way.
Yeah, all the best, bud. Go and show them what KZN boys are all about, man. Yeah,
Thank
good luck.
you guys, really,
Yeah, only a pleasure.
appreciate the opportunity to come on and
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
have a chat.
have a chat. Yeah,
Yeah,
It's
great.
been fantastic.
And maybe we do this again. Once you've done a couple, let's see how you've done, and we can do it again, and we can ask you how your races have been. We would love to we want to keep obviously some content on the Hammarsdale Facebook page, and through that we can maybe even grow it even more for you. So we committed to you, and you've just got to commit to hanging cable.
And wheel side down, boy. Wheel side down.
And well done to you guys on your Hammarsdale race. Hopefully you're going to have another one so that we
Yeah.
can also be at it. It
Yeah,
will certainly
we-
bring back memories for me and my boys. As you guys know, we train there.
You
from
train
time
there
to
quite a
time.
bit, yeah.
So it'll be fun to come out and have a race there.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
We'll have one if you promise to ride, Gav.
I'll definitely ride.
Okay, but we'll chat. Yeah, we'll chat. Thanks, everyone. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
your time again, and awesome. Good luck, my boy.
Good luck.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Thanks.